Hello and welcome back to the championship sponsored by West End Mazda here. You are watching for the 12-hour finale here on V8. So we're joined here by myself, Corey Ott, and also by Fonty as well. Exactly. It is not have I believe they have a scan layout, but see here we've got the 217 car in the pits. Blake Neck during the little 10-minute set. During the little 10 minutes there, we had off the FT1 Motorsport Epsilon ASM cars, and now they're in the pits. Scott Slazowski hops off. They are out of the pit lane. It hasn't really been not really a big field here at the moment. Cars out on the track, but I think it's going to be a very exciting race, seeing as though what I believe the GTE Championship is now all wrapped up after that last session, and the championship's still up for grabs here.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Corey. It's this prototype battle all season's been great. And I say Performance Sim Sports have done an excellent job this year and really taking it to Fusion Sim Racing. Fusion have been around for quite a while, and their endurance campaign has been quite strong. So to see another team really come up against them, and we've seen Performance Sim Sports really dominate at some of the rounds. So no, it's great that it is coming down to the wire.
As you can see here, the number 10 Jason Hyde, the Phoenix Sim Sport car is about to be a lap better, seconds away from it at the moment. Going, I like sequence of corners, but I cannot get the name out. As you can see, he comes down hanger straight. So really, at the moment, it's all stay in the step, wait for something to happen, because in the next 5.5 hours of this race. I think something I do have to mention as well is the two Sing All-Star Motorsport car driven by seeing a little practical joke we've been at. We were expecting him to bin the car, but I'm so sorry to do motorsport guys or my teammates, but his skirts might fall on him here, and he might have a really good stint up until he's in the pits for a pit stop, but hasn't binned it yet, so we'll see.
So I haven't really been following the race too much. Has there been incidents or anything like that? Have we had a safety?
We haven't had a safety car. The 245 Fusions have had some wars. I haven't really watched a lot of the race myself. I believe it was the 245 car get into a little bit of a prototypes early on in the race, but it's all quiet. Sadly, the car is it's third last, sorry, in class, And I think the dynamic sim racing guys have, I believe they've retired the car sadly, so that means, so they were second last, now they're third last in the class. As we see Philip Morton in the 286 FT1 car come in with, I believe, one of the other cars, yeah, the Performance Sport 227, Liam Burns. So they're both polar opposites on where they are in the race. They're gapped by about 3.
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
So the 218 All-Star Motorsport car is now on the pits. McMillan is out of the car. Dane Warren is now in it. So just getting a bit of an update with the championship. So the GT battle is done. That's all done. The 217 ASM car has won the championship. But the prototype class, 45, the number 45 Fusion Sim Racing 7 Performance Sim Sport car, separated by only 2 points. And so basically what needs to happen here is that the way they are running at the moment, that top 3 in the prototypes, the FSR car will win it by the 2 points. So if Phoenix Simsport wanna upset something, they can push as hard as they can, catch up to that 45 car, and possibly take away, and will possibly give the Performance Simsport guys their, what I believe is their endurance championship.
Yeah, they've kind of come from nowhere this really, with performance and sports are reasonably new compared to kind of fusion sim racing. Some sports just kind of came along last year. So it is, like we said before, it's good to see racing can performing. I've been quite impressed. Sports have gone sort of the last 12 months, even with kind of been getting up there. So it is, yeah, it's great to see.
They've been out of nowhere for this series. They've been belting a great laps out, and Builders in the carries. I think last towards the end was a bit of up in arms to what team is going to be firmly planted in test gang for a little bit longer.
this year's, well, for the next season's championship. I'm quite impressed at how the from GT Leagues Australia have served. They are very professional and yeah, I think they've upped the game and certainly in Australian sim racing. How do you feel about that, mate?
Well, during this whole Irish Championship and also the championship they are currently running, which is in season, they've been taking a lot of from the guys who are driven in the series and also the community, what rules they should implement and all that. But it's been a it's been a very first season for the endurance championship and also the second series, second sprint championship. It's been a very close and good battle, I believe, up the front there. Yep, at the Oceanic Championship. I believe the next season is would be from this one. So, and also when coming out in a fortnight's time, it's going to be might be a who's who of drivers in the endurance championship, but at the moment, there's a 13 between the 45 car and the number 10 car, as the number 10 will now be lapped, so Hyde is going to get lap field very shortly as well, so they're just under a second behind him. So now Hyde is behind Benefield. Now lapped all but one car in the HPD field, so he's still got another 5 hours 22 minutes to do so to try and really wants to. So now Darryl Carter's in the 294 cars and down the pit lane.
Yeah, this GTE field, it's been yeah, extremely close throughout this year, Corey. It's been amazing to watch. Last round it was it was on for young and old. Really, it was yeah, very very close, and yeah, we saw some great driving and some really door-to-door close action.
Yeah, our Carter's out of the pits and he's on his man to try and catch up to the 2.8 if he really wants to.
So I can see that the first three in class two are all on the same lap. Do we know their fuel situation, Corey?
For what car, sorry?
For the Austin 7 and the FT Motorsports 286.
I believe at the moment they're would be off strategy from each other. Yeah, Phil could be getting near to a stop here at the moment because he's done he's done 30 around 30 31 32 laps. So I actually don't know the fuel number for each tank in the GTEs, but if I'm going to guess correctly, we could see Phil in the pit in the next couple of laps.
So one of the main people behind GT Leagues Australia puts a lot of effort in to the series. Great to see him out there still having a run at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of the GT Leagues Australia guys are in this race as they were from basically the start of the Oceanic Endurance, all driving it and also race controlling it, some of them. But we do have but there are dedicated race controllers in this race. I believe there are three dedicated with Phil and both chipping in when they're not in the car. So it's really is a good setup these guys are going on where the race controllers just can race comfortably and if there's any problem from race control they can just they can help race control when they're not in the car, and when they're in the car they can do, which is what I really like about this series.
Dane Warren currently on screen. Yeah, we are fixing the decal paint overlay issue at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how Dane goes this year in the Rat Scots Championship. Corey last year kind of came from nowhere, and he's really taken it to these top guys and kind of put All Star Motorsports on the map for certainly Rat Scots racing anyway. Must say I'm quite surprised we haven't seen a safety car throughout this race. It is, yeah, for such a long race, these guys are obviously, starting to get pretty race fit, really. We haven't seen too many mistakes from what I believe.
So yeah, it really is like that. We had our first at Indianapolis, I believe, was round two, and we're all surprised it was so late in the race. I believe we did have two safety cars into that race, but and then Spa we only had a safety car for a car stuck in the wall at Blanchimont. So really weird circumstance for that to happen, but from Spa onwards, we've had no safety cars at all. It's all been nice, clean racing, and for these guys going for nearly for now without a safety car, it's really remarkable. So just got to wait and see for the next 5 hours. Hopefully, nothing else, nothing else really bad happens to induce a safety car.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Corey. It kind of, can throw a cat amongst the pigeons having a safety car come out. It can certainly work in your favour in endurance racing, or it can not work in your favour. I guess it just depends when you've made your last pit stop. And yeah, it can certainly change races, and it could certainly shake up this prototype championship result if we happen to see a safety car.
Oh yeah, exactly. I believe now. From what I said before, if it was sorry the four, so at the moment, if if it was the way it is at the moment, I said before that the 45 will win by 2 points. Apparently, 7 that will win by the end of the day. So it's gonna go at the moment, but FSR the 45 cars, yeah, by Benefield. Benefield is 13 seconds. The number 45, the Craig Edwards is driving.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Corey, it's being in that position where you're driving and you've got this whole team behind you. And you're trying to win a championship. You've put in so much effort over a season, and you've got all these different guys racing the car, and you're jumping out for a couple of hours and get back in. The car's changed, the track's changed. It kind of puts a lot of pressure on everybody racing, and you really don't want to put it in the wall. So you imagine how some of these drivers are feeling today.
And also, especially how the grid is. A lot of us would hope after what happened at Nürburgring Saturday weekend, it didn't get a lot of guys into the well set to start the race off, but the 12 hours sadly is not really the grid as I was hoping. I was thinking cars would be on the grid for this race, but only 14 made it, and at the moment now 12 are running with the Dynamic Sim Racing 203 car and Racing 2 car, the number 2 for 1 are both.
currently have Justin Alderson on screen and his beautiful Ford GT. Quite like the GT, the shape of them. They've done really well with the design of it.
Yeah, it still gives the low height for what he was back then in the 60s, and very different shape when it first was announced. And well, to this day, I still like the look of it. It's very weird rear end, also the side as well. Sort of resembles a sort of a near prototype sports car. I can't remember the names, but how they would have the guard with the wheel and no bodywork over it, just a little bit of gap there, and resembles an open wheeler car, but for the sports cars. But the Ford GT really has in iRacing as well. Hasn't really been a popular car with a lot of guys. It's apparently a really good car to drive, but not a lot of people drive it. They mostly prefer the Ferrari GTE, and at the moment here you can see both of the cars on the screen with Dane Warren in front of Justin Alderton. So there's really the only difference, or the similarities between these two cars really is they've got twin turbo. Everything they have, they're on identical rubber tyres, and it's the beauty about GT right now. Have so many different body types, and you can see how closely matched they are.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I'd give my teeth to race a GT car in real life. It would, yeah, they're just, they're $1 million race cars, at least $1.5 million, $2 million race cars. These Ferraris. I haven't actually managed to drive the Ford GT in the iRacing service, but yeah, I've certainly driven the Ferrari and I quite liked it. Which yeah, man, since GT racing came to iRacing, it's been great to see this endurance stuff really take off.
Yeah, I think there was really no sort of popularity towards endurance racing due to the fact we had machinery, the GT1 Aston Corvette, and also the GT2 Ford GT, the older generation you've got on the screen. But it who doesn't like the sound of a roaring V12 and deep throat V8? But people didn't really like to race those cars, and when these cars came out, everyone was on them and wanted to race these things, and especially as well in IMSA, that broadcasted back last year in season 2 or 3 of the Thursday night stream. It was most of the field was towards GTE. It was the popularity was over the top of this, but now as that's died down and across, you can see all the best GTE drivers going out among the rest.
So just looking at this Fusion Sim Racing 45 car, there's a little bit of a gap to the Performance Sim Racing car, but yeah, it's they still could they certainly there are some mistakes made.
Really, all Craig Edwards has to do now to try and hopefully try and start pulling on 97 in Benefield is to try and pull out quality laps as for long as he can. You'd be getting possibly near to a pit stop in the next 10 or 15 laps maybe. from my approximation. So
Yeah, I think that next year I think these guys from GT leagues, I feel that they've done very well with the season, and it's just natural that kind of a series will see numbers drop towards the end of it. But I reckon that the start of next year, next season I should say, not next year, next season will really attract some drivers. I certainly hope to jump in and have a skid myself at some point. I really love endurance racing, and the teamwork that it takes to win a race.
exactly, and also as well with the LMP ones coming out, brand new technology to everyone really. It'll be a mix of McLaren F1's hybrid system and the downforce of like this LMP2 car that it's more downforce than an LMP2 or four-wheel drive. It's something new for racing they bring in, and for a lot of us as well, especially me, will be spending a lot of testing laps in the thing, trying to get my head around it before next season's OEC starts, and also the new LOL, the official Le Mans series that iRacing will be hosting. So
Yeah, everyone's been waiting for this LMP1 car to come along, and it's going to be a different beast to drive. It's certainly going to create a whole new aspect to endurance racing. Really, I think we'll see a lot of people, as always we do, when a new vehicle comes to our racing. Everyone jumps on, has a drive, but yeah, I think we'll definitely see the endurance stuff kind of up its game a little bit more.
So we're getting now very close to the 5 hours to go mark here, 2 minutes 20 away from it. I think there's really not a lot of battles out on track at the moment. They're all line of stern, lapping each other, maybe trying to catch up to one another on the track. But I think I just clicked over to the FSR car, 245, the car that Trent Thomas is in at the moment. He's got an 11-second gap to Jamie McKnight in the 227 Performance Sim Sport car. I believe they just pitted. I think, yes, they have it on lap 222. They did, so not really just pitted, but pitted only 15 laps ago, so. But Thomas is pulling away, so we'll could disregard that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think we'll jump on board with someone for a lap. See what this track is like. I think we'll jump on board with the Performance Sims Sports 97 car when they come around. Headlights flashing for them. Oh, that was close. Oh, wow. That was very close for those guys. Certainly don't want to see accidents happening, not for a leader of a championship anyway. So which series can we see you running in this year, Corey?
Oh, well, being signed up now with ASM, you won't be really seeing me in the V8s, but on the GT side, it'd be easily would be the Oceanic Sprint Championship that currently next week. No, not sorry, next week. The week after will be at this circuit. No, yeah, yes. If I'm remembering the calendar quickly, we'll be at this circuit. Not next week, but the week after on Wednesday night. So it'll be a very. You could see a lot of the guys from here in the race in the next Oceanic Sprint Series race. So, and really also a lot of official stuff. So I'm haven't really found anything interesting in hosted stuff yet. So, but I think you, Fonty, won't be running in anything anytime soon. You're seeing where you are at the moment.
Yeah, well, I do actually have a steering wheel set up here, but yeah, I certainly don't have a sim rig. But yeah, I'd like to jump on and have a skid on the dirt stuff every now and then. So yeah, I actually head back to New Zealand in 2 weeks for about a month. So I'm planning to bring some of my sim stuff back with me. Certainly my pedals. As Daniel Benefield comes around on the front straight, we're just going to jump on board with him for a lap.
And right on cue, Benefield is in the pits. Locks it up on the pit entry on the pit limiter line as well.
Yeah, so is the Fusion Sim Racing car. So, interesting.
Reese Gardner hops into the 45 Fusion Sim Racing machine. And Carl Rapper is now in the 97 machine, so two drivers hopping back into the cars from would be a 2 or so hour break. What would be a good guess for me is as the 45 machine will go off first before the 97 will be a good guess. They'll both take tyres as well, so they'll be here for about a minute or so while they get tyres and fuel on.
As we see Reese Gardner enter back onto the track. Reese, one of our resident commentators here at V8s Online, he's been around the scene for a very long time and very well known within the sim community. He's the life of the party in the sim community. Everybody knows Reece Gardner on our side of the world, and we certainly appreciate having him in our team here at V8 Online. Obviously he's out racing today, but we have certainly had him on board for this endurance championship this year, and yeah, for most of our events really.
Yeah, it's Reece Gardner's really been one of those outstanding guys in the community. He's been a very good guy. Also, his YouTube channel as well is pretty funny over at Southpaw Racer. He vlogged his 12-hour journey this year, and I believe his third part of the vlog will be coming up. I would be guessing tonight, it being a Sunday night. So
yeah, he's he makes me laugh, old Reece. He's very good at what he does, and you know, he can produce some pretty cool stuff, and some of the things he comes up with certainly makes me laugh. But yeah, no, we wouldn't have him any other way, and it is great to see him out there. He's actually he's a very good sim racer. He races basically with, well, kind of with one hand really. He has a moment. Oh, big moment. Oh, sorry there, Reece, mate. I've given him the commentator's curse. I think I'll change the camera actually. Change to somebody else for a little bit. Yeah, but as I was saying, Reece, he drives kind of with one arm really most of the time anyway. So he does very well to do that. As we go back and look at some of the other cars, Scott Szyslowski out there leading in that All-Star Motorsports 217 car. How long you been sim racing for now, Corey?
if you could count the Forza motorsport stuff, I'd say it'd be around about 2 or so years now. Couldn't really find anything Australian enough with the Forza motorsport side, so
yeah, I've never. Oh, sorry, mate.
Oh, there you go on.
No, I was just going to say that, yeah, I've never really done any of the Forza stuff, but they struggle a little bit for the community, is it?
Well, most of the Forza community stuff is, I'm watching Reece Gardner, remember, has a little bit of a rear end slide there. That rear of that car's not looking well, but get back on topic. A lot of the Forza Motorsport stuff for the Australian side, it's really hard to find some Australian-based series that you can join, but at least with iRacing, it comes with its own forums. You can look on the where the country you are or what community you're in. You can have a look on the forums, what sub forums they have and what series they do. But after about a year of doing Forza, I just got bored, decided to get something a bit more simulated, and good thing was that I had a PC that was good enough to run iRacing, so joined on, and well, it is actually exactly 1 year to the day that I joined iRacing. So what a great day it is
I was going to say that
to commentate OEC and then proceed to, it would be in about an hour and 3/4 time, do my first ever Daytona 500. So exciting times for me.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, Corey. It's yeah, iRacing do a great job with the whole platform really. I certainly wouldn't go on to any other sim racing platform. I kind of had been racing sim stuff on and off and other stuff, but as soon as I got my hands on iRacing, that was me sold. So yeah, they've really upped their game. Every update they bring in something new and improve the product, and it's really evolved from where it was. Certainly 7 years ago from when I joined. It's really gone from strength to strength, and it is great to see the community really expanding and new people coming on board.
Exactly. Some of the guys I know from the Forza side, they were been on iRacing for about a year when I first joined the when I first joined one of the teams on Forza. Some of them were been on iRacing for about a year. Didn't take it really seriously, so I was and ahhing about for a couple months to get it. Finally took the plunge and got it, and shared some good and bad times. First top split win with IMSA at Sonoma during the Thursday night SOF, and then I think a couple months ago had my first ever wheel fail on me. So a lot of my first things have happened on iRacing, and hopefully I could get a first Daytona 500 win tonight, or for the major series as well. I keep forgetting that. So
Yes, well, of course we do go on to do the major series broadcast. Jay will be continuing on with that. Only a couple of hours away, really. So no, it's a big marathon here this weekend for V8 Online. I think that this would be probably the biggest marathon we've ever had to do. Yet Jay might be able to correct that if he is listening in on this. But yeah, we've certainly got a long, a big amount of broadcasts for this weekend. So I haven't certainly directed in a little while. It's kind of a little bit harder for me being over here. I don't have the flashiest internet in London, believe it or not. Although it's the epicenter of the world, there's not that greater internet. It's certainly not where I live anyway. So doing everything via New Zealand, which has its own complications in itself. But no, certainly love iRacing, wouldn't have it any other way, and it is, like I was saying, it is great to see the community expanding. Yeah, every week, day, month, year. So if you are interested in coming on board, certainly jump on, check out V8's Online, our website, and certainly jump on iRacing website itself. You'll be able to see we do have a promo code if you are interested in signing up to iRacing, which is PRV8 Scops 2018. You'll be able to find that on the forums and whatnot, which that will certainly give you a taste tester of what iRacing is all about.
exactly, and that promo code gives you 3 months of iRacing for only $5 US. So it's a really good promo code that if you just want to have a feel of iRacing. So if you want to join in the racing like this, join a team and do some endurance racing, use the promo code PR-V8Scops 2018 for 3 months for $5, and you could be like whoever's leading the 97 car, Carl Rapper at the moment. Could be like him, could be leading a race like this. So it's all about what you want to do, and you can see some of these guys fulfilling what they want to do. Leading a 12-hour endurance race at the moment, and the 97, if it keeps going the way it is at the moment, could win the championship. So
yeah, I think these guys, although we'd like to see everybody win, and the best team will win. I feel that Performance Sim Sports have really done enough this year to see their championship evolve into that first place. So yeah, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see.
well, with hello, and on cue, Carl Rapper, I believe, just got tapped around the 240 arm racing car. Oh yeah, stuck the nose in there, and the arm racing car had none of it. So That's something that'll go to the stewards, and if it does go the wrong way of the 97 car, we could see a pit lane penalty for that car, which is not something you really want to have at this time of race.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Corey, and that's kind of I was touching on a little bit earlier with, you've got all of these team behind you and you're really pushing on to get it done, get the job done. But yeah, you're exactly right. You can make a slight mistake or have a slight bit of contact with a car, and race control can certainly deem that as, well, certainly not a racing incident, and send you through the pit lane for a drive through or anything really. So yeah, anything can happen, but yeah, I certainly feel that these guys have done enough this year to be able to secure this championship, and they're really performing well in this round, same as last. They're dominating quite well.
Yeah, so we'll go through the race standings as they are now, as with 4 hours and 43 left to go. So you've got the Performance in Sport 97 car of Carl Raper in first place, followed by the Fusion Sim Racing 45 car. They're 9 seconds up the road from the 97 car, going to be lapped here shortly. So they're doing well in second place. Third place, the first car a lap down. The number 10 Phoenix Simmersport car with Scott Newton in it. They're doing an almighty job at the moment to try and do something with, try and hopefully affect this championship to be going their way. And then dead last, sadly, in the HPD class is the 54 Fusion Sim Racing car with Warren Pickering behind the wheel. And that whole HPD field, 4 cars separated by 2 laps. And then with the GTE field, we've got that champion number 217 All-Star Motorsport car with Scott Sazowski behind the wheel. And if they keep going the way they are champions right now, but they've got to do another 4 hours and 42 minutes of racing to secure that championship trophy. Second place being the FT1 Motorsports Epsilon 286 behind the wheel, Philip Morton. He's 32 seconds behind Scott Sazowski at the moment. Third place, and finishing off the GTE podium, Dane Warren in the All-Star Motorsports 218 car. He's some way away from the leader. I think he's about to be lapped as well by Scott Sazowski. He's 21 seconds up the road from Scott. And then the other GTE cars, 297 Performance in Sport with Dale Carter behind the wheel. He's 4th place. 5th place is the racing car, getting a little bit tangled up with the 97 there, Justin Oldham behind the wheel. The second FT1 Motorsport car, the 287, Chris Whittaker behind the wheel of that one. They're 6th place at the moment. 7th is the Performance in Sport 227 car, Jamie McKnight behind the wheel of that one as well. 8th place, the Fusion Sim Racing 245 car, the very beaten up one. Right now he sits 8th place, and the last 2 car field, the Dynamic Sim Racing 203 and the RM81 car, are both sadly in the pit lane and out of the race.
must say, FT1 Motorsport. They got some great drivers there. As I was saying before, one of the newer teams to the scene, but we've really see them kind of taking it to these top teams throughout this championship and doing an excellent job up there during this race. Philip Morton currently in the car. Might jump on board for a lap and come around the start finish line on board one of these GTE cars. Now, Corey, I must ask, do you get out on the dirt much on iRacing?
It's very exciting when I do, but it's a rarity for me to do some dirt on iRacing. I've been wanting to try out the dirt midget, but haven't really been driven to do it at the moment. But no, just focusing on that, on the GT3 sort of stuff. You're getting head around the new BOP that's came out, so wouldn't mind trying out a bit of dirt stuff later on down the road this year. Maybe do a broadcasted event, but we'll see what happens. So
Yeah, I must say it's a lot of fun, the dirt stuff. iRacing have really done well with it. As we jump on board now with Philip Morton as he comes across the start finish line to turn one. You can see how much grip is really down on the circuit. Returns got a lot of rubber caked into those corners, and had a crack at the Bathurst 12-hour last weekend, which yeah, it was quite amazing really how much different the car stuck to the ground, you know, certainly coming over the hill once the rubber had gone down, and how much differently it drove from the start of the race. So you've kind of got to set the car up to kind of evolve, so it might not handle so well at the start of the race and you might drop back, but you really want to be able to charge through and power through towards kind of the end, and it end up being, you know, its best car in sort of the last 6 hours rather than the first 6 hours. Getting back to the dirt stuff, yes, if you are interested in dirt racing, and yeah, iRacing certainly have a great platform for dirt stuff. They just recently released the midget, and yeah, the racing in that is really cool. It's a lot of fun, and it takes a little bit to get used to dirt stuff, but once you kind of crack it, you'll be hooked. So we see Philip Morton come back and finish his lap. Nice lap there. Focusing back on this prototype class, currently on screen, Reece Gardner, Fusion Sim Racing 45 car. He's 1 minute 30 down the road from the Performance Sim Racing car. He gets very close there to that Ferrari. just over 4.5 hours left in this race. Haven't seen a lot of action in the form of accidents or people making mistakes, but this is kind of the part in the race where it all starts to unfold and drivers get tired and cars change, and it's this is, I think, where we'll start to see mistakes happen throughout this race. Currently have Scott Newton on screen, which I'd say he's doing quite well. He's keeping the car very smooth. Now a lap down, but yeah, doing very well there, and the car certainly looks pretty hooked up.
Well, Fonty, I'm very sad to say this, but I'll have to head out now, leave you by yourself for a little bit, because I've got, like I was saying before, we've got majors on at the moment. Broadcast will be starting in 12 minutes, so if you're watching OEC and are waiting for majors, that's how long it will take before the stream is up. But Fonty, I'll have to sadly leave you, and also the guys watching the OEC, and hopefully we'll see you guys, I'll see you guys later on down the track.
Yeah, no worries, Corey. Thanks for jumping in.
No problems, Fonty.
So currently 12 cars left in this race. Only had 14 entries for this round. This is the final round. For the first round we had quite a few more, but yeah, this is certainly the closest one, and this prototype race is certainly on. Last lap, Fusion Sim Racing car 0.3 of a second faster than the Performance Sim Racing machine. A minute 31 separating those two guys. Just under 4.5 hours to go now. Phoenix Sim Sports 10 sitting in third place. These guys doing pretty similar times, not much separating these first three cars. So we have Scott Newton on screen now, just going past one of those GTE cars. as they come down the front straight. Fusion Sim Racing 54, sitting in 4th place, one Pickering at the wheel there. 3 laps down on the lead 97 Performance Sim Sports car. Take a look back at Scott Kozlowski in the All-Star Motorsports 217 Ferrari. Very good looking car. This guy's done quite well all season, really. GT field quite close. As the FT1 Motorsports car takes the lead of this race in their class. Focused on the iRacing 240 car, so currently sitting in P10. Driving the Ford GT, as we discussed earlier with Corey. Very attractive looking car. Ford designed this vehicle very well. FT1 Motorsports car in the pit lane. Seeing a driver change for them. Simon Mazzomo in the car. Currently, closest battle we have on track is between Dane Warren in the 218 All-Star Motorsports GTE and the FT1 Motorsports 286. 33 seconds separating those guys. The close battle is Phoenix Sim Sports number 10 prototype and the Fusion Sim Racing 45 car, 35 seconds separating them. The gap is opening up between Reese Gardner and Scott Newton, but these guys in the Phoenix Sim Sports car certainly have every chance to come back. Be a pretty big job to catch the 97 Performance Sim Sports car of Carl Rapper, but anything is possible in endurance racing. The iRacing 240 car of Justin Alderson on screen now. Doing a great job there, cutting some nice clean laps. FT1 Motorsports, James Wilson in P10. 30 seconds separating those two guys. Dane Warren got some excellent pace out of that 218 car. He's closed that gap to Soma Zoma. It's down to 23 seconds, so I reckon we're going to see a battle coming on soon for those guys. Warren catching Zoma quite at a rapid pace. It's down to 20 seconds now, so Mazomo has just jumped in the car, but potentially taking him a little bit to get in the swing of things. Just testing the car's boundaries to make sure he doesn't push it, find where the grip is, and then we'll see him get into it. But yeah, doesn't want to muck around for too much longer. Warren really on a charge now. Just going to jump on board with him. Dame Warren completes yet another lap in that 218 All-Star Motorsports car. He is reasonably new to sim racing. He's one of the few people, I'm not too sure if he's still using it, but he started racing on a Mac, sitting at a desk, and that's certainly when I first noticed him and how he was going, and he's certainly impressed a lot of us in the Australian New Zealand community, doing an excellent job for Also Motorsports as he chases down the FT1 Motorsports Simon Mazomo. That gap is now down to 18.4 seconds, so Warren closing at a rapid pace. He's basically 2 seconds a lap faster. Last lap round 144.5 for Mazomo, and Warren 142.6, so 1.9 seconds. So Mazomo might want to get his head down there, otherwise give it 9 laps. We see that it's going to be on for young and old for those guys. Now looking at the Fusion Sim Racing 245, the Ford GT, these guys are on a hunt. 14.9 seconds separating them and the car in front of Jamie McKnight in the Performance Sim Sports 227. You can see that gap there, bottom left hand corner of the screen, 17.7 seconds between Warren and FT1 Motorsports Simon Mazomo. Mazomo put slightly better lap in that last one, 143.5 versus Warren's 142.5, so only a second in it. We're seeing Mazomo start to get into the swing of things after just coming into the car only a few laps ago. Look back at the performance, Sim Sports 97. These guys just cutting laps, clean lap after clean lap. As we've just seen them go past that Fusion Sim Racing car, which that will put them down one lap now. Those guys, I certainly wouldn't want a safety car to come out right now. It would really be quite difficult, as yes, they have gone one lap down. So Fusion Sim Racing got a bit of work to do. Performance Sim Sports, their cars this year have been super quick. They've been doing a lot of testing, and we haven't really seen them put a foot wrong all year. Reese Gardner pressing on to try and keep up with them. They really want to try and get past. Safety car would not work in their favour at this stage, but I think Performance Sim Sports would feel very comfortable if a safety car was to be called. Previous lap round, Performance Sim Sports 1.5 seconds faster than the 45 Fusion Sim Racing machine of Reese Gardner. Corey was saying before when he joined us, the Fusion Sim Racing car looked to be a little bit sloppy in the rear end, and we saw Reese Gardner lose it a little bit early on in his stint when he just jumped in, which could have potentially knocked his confidence slightly, as this is giving an opportunity. Now we see him catching a slower car, and that is the hardest thing in these prototype cars when you're racing against, you know, multi-classes, and you're the fast car. You kind of, the traffic can work into your advantage, but it certainly can work into your disadvantage as well. We just saw Fusion Sim Racing car catch right up again. Oh, very close there between those two. Carl firing it up the inside. That lapped car, not too sure who it was, turned in and nearly contact. This race between these two cars is on for young and old. Fusion Sim Racing car is a lap down, but this is crucial for them. $292 laps completed by these guys out front. It's a long way. The Silverstone circuit is a great circuit, and you can see over the broadcast, if you've been watching from lap one, a lot of rubber that has gone down on the circuit. As we look back at that battle for the All-Star Motorsports 218 car in the FT1. Mazomo getting back on the pace, but not quite able to match the pace of Warren. 13.1 seconds separating those two guys, so Warren closing in at a rapid pace. If you are checking out our website or haven't checked out our website yet, do jump on v8online.com and see all what's happening in the Australia-New Zealand sim community. If you're interested in having a taste of commentary or want to get into iRacing, I can certainly provide you with all that information. Jump on, subscribe, post all of what's going on in our community. Try to keep everybody informed of who's moving where, what teams are coming on board. Also have live timing there as well, which you'll be able to find through the events page. Lots of broadcasts going on. Jay Kennedy always very busy with doing the broadcast. He does most of the graphic stuff and does an excellent job. And yeah, certainly this weekend is a lot of broadcasting for us. It's our biggest marathon to date, so jump over and check out the major series as well as this broadcast. We're here for another 4 hours. The Daytona 500 is on right now. Another super impressive lap there by Warren. 1:42.6. So, very impressive drive. You can just see him clipping all those marks. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Board with Warren here. Very nice to drive these Ferrari GTE cars. So much grip. It's like driving in an armchair apparently. Certainly love to race one of these in real life. See Warren here doing an excellent job. He's really in the zone. It's how it kind of is when you're endurance racing. You just get into the swing of things and cut lap after lap, and it's only when you make a mistake, a small mistake, and kind of get the rear come around that it kind of knocks your flow. It takes you a couple of laps to get back into it, and certainly the good drivers can adapt back very quickly, identify where they've gone wrong, or figure out what's wrong with the car and kind of change their driving style to suit and not lose any time. Gap between those two now, 10 seconds, so we're going to see a battle happening very soon for position on track. It's P6, P7 and second and third outright in class, so Warren, definitely fastest GTE car out on track. 0.3 of a second that last lap. Under 10 seconds now. Keep an eye on this battle. Just see the car of Scott Newton come through there and go past. Nice clean move. We have missed a position change, or potentially so we've seen the 45 sim racing car, Fusion sim racing car I should say, do a pit stop, which has let Phoenix Sim Sports back into P2. Basically 2.5 minutes separating Fusion Sim Racing and the 97 Performance Sim Sports car. I'll be joined very soon by Cam Dance. I stop the Alona in here again. Scott, no mates, so call me right now. Cam Dance, avid sim racer, part of the V8's online commentary team. Does a lot of racing in real life. Started karting at a young age, and I certainly knew him from the karting scene back in New Zealand. Seen the Fusion sim racing car get off the gas here, not too sure what happened. Unfortunately, with the overlay package that we've got, with me doing it all remotely from London via New Zealand to you guys, for some reason the replay function doesn't seem, stalls everything, so I can't really go back, have a look what happened there. Looking back at that car of Dame Warren, closed that gap tremendously, 7.8 seconds now, as we just clock over 4 hours to go. Take a quick pit stop for myself, get a cup of coffee, leave the racing with you guys. Be back in a couple of minutes and we will catch on with these battles. Alright, we're back from our pit stop break. New cup of coffee, ready to go for this last 3 hours and 52 minutes of this event. This is the Oceanic Endurance Championship, supported by West End Mazda. This is round 6, the final round of its debut season. Turned out to be a great series. The guys at GT Leagues Australia have done an amazing job to bring this series to life and have really put a professional approach on everything. So we're looking at this battle, P6, P7, FT1 Motorsports, Simon Mizomo versus All Star Motorsports, Dane Warren. Dane Warren very fast in that car. He's been consistently a second a lap faster than Mizomo. Putting a lot of pressure on this car. One thing though about these GT cars, when you are behind a car, kind of changes the balance on how the car handles, and I often see that, especially when you're in the rhythm of racing and you're catching somebody in front of you, as we see, oh, he's looking at the inside, he's making the move. Mizomo holding it there, not giving out, but we're going to see, oh, that's really close between these two guys, and we've got an HPD who's trying to find a gap there. We're going to go 3 wide. And Dane Warren gets the job done. Mizomo not going to give up though. He'll want to try and hold on as much as he can. It's not over for these guys. Certainly use the draft to his advantage. It's always a little bit easier when you're following a faster car in front of you to kind of help your braking points and all of that. So I think we'll see Mizomo go a little bit faster. As they come down the front straight now. I'll jump on board with Mizomo and see what it's like inside the cockpit following a car. I'm going to try and hold on to a second gap, 1.3 seconds. He'll still be in that draft range. Current gap is 0.7, so Warren really on a charge. Next car for him, up the road, as well as teammate Scott Kozlowski in the 217 All-Star Motorsports car. These guys in the Ferraris, Ferrari 1, 2 and 3 in this GT class. Oh, we slightly came around there. The car of Warren's looks slightly better balanced than this car Mizomo. As we see a big push there on the front. Mizomo pressing on now. Doesn't want to lose that gap. Probably working the tyres a bit too hard, but when the setup's not working as well as the guy in front of you, it's hard to try and save those tyres. Gap now 1.3, so he's nearly out of that drafting range. Not 100% sure when Mizomo took tyres last. we're away having our own pit stop. We've seen the Phoenix Sim Sports 10 car and the Performance Sim Sports 97 car both have their pit stops. So now Fusion Sim Racing are back in second place. Just riding on board Phoenix Sim Sports car of Scott Newton. If you are watching for the first time, don't know much about iRacing, jump on and check it all out. So yeah, it's an amazing community of people, and if you can't afford to go real motor racing, invest a little bit of money in getting a sim racing kit and you'll have a lot of fun. And personally started iRacing 7 years ago. It's evolved a lot over the 7 years. The endurance racing was introduced in driver swaps, and we now have dirt racing. They're working on day-night transition for these sorts of events, 24-hour events and all that sort of stuff. And so yeah, it's really quite a competitive racing. The closest battle on track is the Racing 240 car, Justin Alderson. He's chasing down Peter Lynn in the Performance Sim Sports 297. 14 seconds separating those two guys. They are a lap down on the other GTE cars, but still a nice battle there for P4. I'm not too sure what the standings are for the championship at the moment. I do know that it is very close between the Performance Sim Sports 97 and the Fusion Sim Racing 45. This race is what it's coming down to. You can almost guarantee that Performance Sim Sports would like to stamp their name to the debut season trophy. They've done a remarkable job all year long, really seen them improve their game. You can almost guarantee that they are putting in a lot of practice and getting that car set up well, and it's certainly showing here in the series. last 2 rounds, Performance Sim Sports have really dominated. They certainly dominated the last round. Both Carl Rapper, Daniel Benefield, the main drivers in that car. Huge effort to be able to do 12 hours of sim racing. I tell you now, it's people get this mentality of that you're just sitting at a computer driving around, but it's really not like that. It's kind of coming to the point where people are training for it. Going to the gym, you need to be mentally fit for events like this. I think it actually takes it out of you more driving on a sim for an endurance race than it would in a proper race car. We also have another broadcast going on. Jay Kennedy broadcasting the second round of the Majors Series. Majors Series is probably the biggest series in the iRacing circle at the moment. It's the Daytona 500 event on now, which should be a great race, so make sure you jump over and head over and check that out. Keep our stream alive over here too. Hopefully we'll have Cam Dance joining us very soon over here. In the meantime, you can listen to me ramble on about motorsport. Looking back at that battle for P8, P9 outright, Justin Alderson versus Peter Lynn. Alderson closed that gap now, 11.3 seconds. Seeing that close quite rapidly. There's almost 1.5 seconds faster Alderson is than Lynn. Gaps open from Dane Warren to Simon Mazzomo. 5 seconds since we saw that pass. Outright leader of our Class 2, the GTE, Scott Kozlowski, All-Star Motorsports 217. Doing an excellent job out there. Warren, though, fastest car on track in that field. Although Mazzomo really getting into the swing of things. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Alderson was the fastest car on track in that last lap. 142.4 versus Dane Warren in a 142.8. So Alderson really on a charge. 10 seconds between himself and Peter Lynn now. Keep an eye on that battle soon. Quite impressive, really, how these guys are going. We haven't seen people make really any mistakes during this race. Generally, how endurance racing goes, though, you see everybody will get tired in the last couple of hours, and that's when it's certainly going to get mixed up. Currently on screen now, Jamie McKnight, avid sim racer, one of the supporters of this championship, West End Mazda. He operates that business, which they have become heavily involved in sim racing over these past 12 months, and it's certainly great to have them on board. Been on board for now V8 Scotch Series, which kicks off only in a week's time. So we're looking forward to that. Really evolved that series. We saw a great championship last year. Jared Fussell reclaimed his 2015 title. Virtual Racing School coming on board as naming rights sponsor for the 2018 V8 Supercar Online Premier Series Championship, which is certainly great to have them on board. If you don't know who they are, go and check them out, because they are a big part of making you go faster in sim racing. We're going to have Cam Dance join us in just a couple of minutes. Just over 3.5 hours to go. These cars looking very straight for a long endurance race. Not too many of them have damage out there. Looking at that Dane Warren car earlier on, he's got a little bit of front bonnet and splitter damage. It's certainly not slowing him down. Warren really on a charge. Close that gap to his teammate now, 47 seconds. You can almost guarantee they're going to keep him in the car a little bit longer. He's really on a roll. Mazzomo in the swing of things as well. 8 seconds he's dropped from Warren, but still an excellent job. They're on the podium, so all they want to do is hold on to that. Anything can happen. That's the most important thing about endurance racing, is just worrying about yourself cutting clean laps, because over a 12-hour event, it's bound to be action unfold for the competitors around you. If you can just stay clean and consistent, you don't necessarily have to be the fastest on track. Alderton closed that gap now under 6 seconds to the car in front of him, so We're definitely going to see a battle unfold here very soon. As we have Cam Dance join us here in the comms box. You got me, Cam.
Yes, I do indeed.
Oh, it's good to have you here, mate. I've been a lone ranger for the last hour and a bit. But no, welcome to the broadcast commentators booth. And yeah, it's certainly going to end up being a good race. It's pretty close between Performance Sim Sports 97 and the Fusion Sim Racing car. Only a couple of points in it, so anything. The Performance Sim Sports car is very quick. These guys have done an amazing job all season long, and really the last two rounds have basically been unstoppable. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. It's certainly coming down to the wire, and that's what we love about motorsport.
Yeah, definitely. The Performance Sim Sports guys have definitely done an absolute awesome job throughout the season to have put themselves in the position that they're in currently. So, going to be interesting to see what happens. It's most likely going to go to them, but as you said, it's an endurance race and anything can happen. So, can't really say all that much just now.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. You're yeah, it is endurance racing, and anything can happen. So you just worry about cutting your laps, being clean, and if you are consistent, then most of the time it's going to pay off for you because someone's going to make a mistake somewhere down the track in front of you. Now, Cam, have you been real life racing yourself in recent weeks?
No, I haven't, unfortunately. There's been a few little issues going on behind the scenes for me, unfortunately, but should be back in the seat not in the next few weeks, which should be very good. Been keeping myself occupied with sim racing, so that's been not too bad of a loss, but anyway.
Yeah, well, that's motorsport, isn't it? You've always got these little things that happen, and it takes a lot of commitment to go real life racing, but that's why we do it, because we love it. It's a great sport, and yeah, Cam races a couple of different things. He's around the karts and open wheelers in New Zealand. Does a great job, and we certainly like having him here involved in VATs online. So Cam, what are you running in the sim racing scene this year? Any particular classes, championships?
I'm going to attempt to make the grid for Scops at some stage. Currently doing the Oceanic Sprint Championship, the GT3 championship of this series, not the endurance one, unfortunately, but so far it's been quite good, and also been doing the Porsche Grand Cup Australia Championship, and going to be also doing the majors at some stage, round 2 for the Pacific region, which is what I'm competing in, is next week on Monday, so that'll be very good. I missed round 1, unfortunately, due to other commitments, but it should be good to do Daytona and hopefully do well.
Yeah, I was just saying before this major series, it's going to be a great series. It's certainly probably the biggest we have in the iRacing sim community this day and age. The organizer of that is putting in a lot of effort, and yeah, it is great to see all over the world everyone kind of competing and doing all of that, and we are certainly enjoying being part of broadcasting that on our side of the world. And yeah, make sure you jump on and check out the Majors Series broadcasting now. Our good mate Jay Kennedy is doing that broadcast. It's the Daytona 500, which yeah, it'll be interesting. We're not sort of huge oval races on our side of the world, so we don't have a huge amount of people racing the oval stuff, and I'm certainly interested to see who ends up taking out this event.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very difficult event, despite the fact how easy it looks. As Jay has said on many occasions, it's not the easiest event to win or compete in. I know you and Jay have both won the race many years ago, but yeah, it's definitely an awesome event, and even if you're not a massive oval racer, just to race it and experience what it's actually like is really something unique.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's probably one of the biggest, probably the biggest, event that happens in the United States, other than the Indianapolis 500, of course. But certainly for NASCAR racing, the Daytona 500 is a huge event. So the fact that iRacing have that option available in the platform, they have a very close relationship with NASCAR, and we have the Peak Antifreeze series, which, yeah, it's super competitive. When I first started in sim racing, that was kind of the go-to series, and there is some decent prize money up for grabs for that Peak Antifreeze series, which they run at the Daytona 500. We just had the first round of the 2018 season for that series. Not 100% sure on the results myself, but I'm sure it's going to be a great year, and it's great that we can sort of be a part of running a huge Daytona event in our part of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to broadcast those massive races, as you said. So it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens this year.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying before, the content that iRacing has released lately has been quite cool. Obviously, we've had the dirt stuff come to us. I know that you've been running the dirt yourself, Cam, and that's certainly what I've been doing. I really do enjoy it. I feel that they have absolutely nailed it. We're fortunate enough to be having the Chili Bowl coming to the service very soon, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is. To have the Chili Bolt on the service, one of the biggest dirt races in America, to be now on the service is going to be absolutely awesome to have, and it'll be very, very interesting to actually drive around and see how tight it actually is, because it is very, very tight, and it's a very interesting track to be at, more or less, with how tight and narrow it is, especially with the amount of cars they have running around there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when the Chili Bowl comes out, and with also a couple of other tracks announced recently, Charlotte and Lima Land and a couple of others coming to the service not too far in the near future. It'll be actually quite good to see how the Pro Series that they recently announced for the dirt stuff actually turns out.
Yeah, well, I certainly would like to have a crack at running in the midget Pro Series at some stage in the future. I really do enjoy racing that midget, and yeah, having some new tracks and stuff. I do hope that they manage to get out to the southern part of the world and scan some tracks. I would love to see them do Western Springs. I'm sure you would as well, Cam. It's a very, very difficult track, and I think it would. Everyone on iRacing would love it, and the racing would be great. So, fingers crossed that'll happen.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be very, very good to have a New Zealand track finally on the service. I know there's been countless attempts to try and get a New Zealand road track, whether it be Highlands or Hampton Downs or one of the other tracks in New Zealand, onto the service, and it just hasn't quite taken off yet. But yeah, it'd be really good to at least have one Australasian dirt track on the service at some stage.
Yeah, exactly. So for those viewers, if you may be new to watching this, iRacing It's not like most other platforms that kind of just make it up, take photos and make it up in some software. They actually go to the tracks and they scan the whole track and then implement that all into the service, which then it's all licensed and all that sort of stuff. So it is very real. Every kind of bump, ripple, strip, everything is replicated to what is in real life at the circuit, which is pretty cool. So yeah, they're always releasing new content. Every 3 months we get something new, and it is very exciting. Anyway, getting back to the racing. Closest battle on track is the battle between FT1 Motorsports, Simon Mazzomo and Cody Bird. We've actually missed a pit stop. So the All-Star Motorsports car that Dane Warren was in has taken a stop, and his brother Ethan Warren has jumped in and taken over the car. So 38 seconds separating those two guys. We're still waiting on Mazzomo to make a pit stop. So in theory, Mazzomo will drop back behind that All-Star Motorsports car.
Wow.
Say again?
Mazzomo has just come into pit lane.
There we go, right on cue. In the lane we see Mazzomo, and there is another car behind that. Also in the lane, that's Jamie McKnight.
Yes, it is.
So we will see that All-Star Motorsports car of Ethan Warren fly past Mazzomo. And he is just coming onto the front straight, currently focused on him now. The HP's lights there.
And Mazzomo has just left pit lane very close to that Performance Sim Sports Ferrari, which is actually going to drive a change just now as well. So there's now Brett Wilson in the car from Jamie McKnight.
Yeah, I was just saying before, Cam, it's, you know, in endurance racing, when you jump in the car, if you haven't been in it for, you know, 2 or 3 hours, the car has evolved so much, the track has evolved so much, you know, it is quite hard to be able to find the rhythm. You know, you don't want to push the car too hard because you don't know where the grip is or where it's not, and I always find it takes a good, you know, 5-6 laps to start to get comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. You don't know how much the track has changed or how worn the tyres are if you are double stinting tyres, or whether the car's got any sort of damage or anything like that. So it does pay to take 5 to 6 laps, as you said, to sort of just get a feel for the car and more or less see where you stand as far as feeling of the car, so you can then figure out how much you can actually physically push the car to its limits.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that, I must say, one person who has gotten the swing of things very quickly is Ethan Warren. Straight out there in the car, he's probably taken over from his brother. He's done 3 laps, and he's already, well, he's only 0.4 of a second off their best lap of the race, so he's got on the swing of things very quickly. I reckon we're going to see him catch Cody Bird. They did basically identical times that last lap, but that car, that 218 car, is very quick.
Yeah, it definitely is. He's been about 2/10 a lap quicker than Cody Bird at this stage, so if he can keep this pace up, he should be able to catch Cody fairly quickly.
Now, if we look at the front of the field, Cal Rapper, he is absolutely flying in this event. Really have not put a foot wrong at all. Just over 3 hours left in this race. 3 hours 16 to be exact. If you are interested in getting involved in iRacing or the GT League's Oceanic Endurance Championship, jump on, check out our website, v8online.com or gtleaguesaustralia.net. See all of what's going on, and don't cost you that much to get a setup. You can get a very basic setup, which you can do pretty well with for under $1,000. You've got a half decent computer and a screen, buy yourself a Logitech steering wheel and pedal set, and from iRacing we have a promo code PR-V8 Scops 2018, which you can try iRacing 3 months for $5. Get all the basic content, which is plenty of fun. I certainly don't think that I would ever give up iRacing. Cam, what about you?
Yeah, that's a bit of a hard one. I can't see myself giving up anytime soon. It's kind of, I've got the bug and it's stuck with me, so yeah, especially with the amount of also development and additions that are coming to iRacing in the near future, I definitely can't see myself pulling the plug and buggering off to something else. I do tend to, from time to time, switch sims to the likes of R-Factor and set a course and that sort of stuff for a bit of fun, but technically at this stage iRacing is pretty much my main sim at the moment, so yeah, it's a bit of a hard one, and also it does help with iRacing being laser scanned everything for possible future racing opportunities, so yeah, it's definitely both a tool and also a bit of entertainment for myself.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I certainly feel that keeping yourself active on sim racing, and we certainly know that, you know, professional racers, the likes of Shane Van Gisbergen and Scott McLaughlin, those guys are very active on iRacing to keep themselves race fit and, you know, mentally fit. And it's, although it's everything on a computer, you'd be surprised at how realistic everything is. And you know, those guys do it week in, week out to keep themselves race fit, and you know, even, yeah, like you were saying, Cam, to learn a track. You know, I certainly, you know, it's really cool. You see all these tracks, you know, that the Formula One go to and all that sort of stuff, and then, you know, you get to drive them yourself. And if you ever get the opportunity to drive around them in real life, it's kind of, you know exactly where the track goes rather than seeing it on TV, but not really understanding how the corners work and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can have a test session or something in a simulator and it be pretty much accurate to the millimeter, you're pretty much going to be doing the same sort of stuff in the sim as you would do in the race car. So the transition's mainly that important part of the whole entire simulation. So if that's as accurate as it can possibly be, then you're going to be pretty well off.
Not a lot of close on-track action at the moment. Closest battle on track is the 45 Fusion Sim Racing car of Reece Gardner and the 10 car of Phoenix Sim Sport Scott Newton. There's 11 seconds separating those guys, so Newton slightly faster on that last lap. Not sure if Gardner got held up with traffic. Other close battle on track, or closest battle on track, Simon Mazzomo and Ethan Warren, 21 seconds separating those guys. We saw the pass for that position happen around about 25 laps ago, and Ethan Warren is now stretching that lead quite nicely. Although times are pretty similar between those two cars. So you've been doing practice for the first round of the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. Sorry, just jump in there. Reece Gardner pulling into the pit lane now. Sorry, Cam, you've been doing any practice for this year's V8 Scop Series?
I've turned a handful of laps at the moment, yet to do some proper runs at the moment, but just currently getting a feel back for the car and also doing a little bit of setup work, so should be interesting to see what happens when pre-qual comes around. I will hopefully have done a few more laps than I have done currently, but yeah, getting some laps in is probably the most important thing at the moment, just so I can make sure I'm comfortable in the car and knowing what's going on.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Practice makes perfect, and you know the V8 Supercar in itself is I would think probably the hardest beast to drive in the service, and the racing is very close. But I certainly find you need to put a fair bit more time into that supercar than you do other cars. But yeah, it'll certainly be good to have you out there in the field. There's some good entries for this year, I think, which will be great to see for the series. Some new race formats and different things happening, which will be quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. With all the new formats of the reverse grid sort of style thing and all these new sort of formats, it's going to make the racing very, very interesting, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it actually plays out in the championship and who actually gains and who actually suffers from it, because it's obviously going to spice the whole field up and throw things in the air a bit. So yeah, it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on throughout the season and see how it actually goes.
They've had a change for position, which is just temporarily. The Phoenix Sim Sports car has taken over that P2 spot. We saw Fusion Sim Racing come into the pits. Heath Brennan out in the car.
Scott Newton that Phoenix Sim Sports car shouldn't be too far away from pit stop now, being 28 laps into his stint roughly at this time.
Yes, we've also seen the Performance Sim Sports car come into the pit lane and a driver change happen. Daniel Bannerfield back in the car now. Just following that Performance Sim Sports car. Bit of a moment there for Benefield. Tyres will start to be quite cold. They did take tyres in that last stop. 47-second stop for them. So it's about 16 seconds for a set of tyres to go on the car. So Cam, you've been running the dirt stuff a little bit. Which is your car of choice, series of choice in that at the moment?
Bit of a mix between the midget and the sprint car. Obviously, the sprint car is definitely enjoyable, but the midget's also quite enjoyable. So it's a bit hard to choose one of the two. If I did have to choose one of the two, I'd probably go with the sprint car. But I have been riding the midget quite recently, just being it's so much more enjoyable and actually more of a driver's car rather than having to just chuck the thing in and keep your foot in it. You actually have to physically drive the thing and more or less drive it to what the track's doing. So yeah, it's probably more lean towards the midget, but at the same time, I'll always love my sprint car.
Yeah, exactly right. It's I'll tell you what, it is really enjoyable, and the racing is really cool. You get some good guys out there and throw slide jobs everywhere, and it's yeah, I certainly enjoy the midget. I do. I'm exactly sort of similar mindset to you, Cam. The sprint car is pretty cool, but the racing's good. But yeah, the midget you can't beat it, especially on that short track stuff. Lanier Speedway and Eldora, the racing is tight and yeah, quite enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing that makes dirt racing good is you can have very close racing, and it's always enjoyable when it's like that, especially when you're constantly throwing slide jobs at each other. And yeah, when the racing's like that, it's just really awesome to watch and be part of.
So just looking back down the field, closest battle on track is the 240 arm racing car and the 297 performance sim sports car. Only 1.8 seconds separating those guys.
Yeah, that's actually quite close between those two at the moment. Unfortunately, the racing car is a lap down on the FT1 motorsports car at the moment, from what I can tell. Yes, so
Yep. So we're just seeing a battle for P8, P9 outright for these two guys.
Lynn Peterlin's lap times do look a little bit slower though compared to Matthew Dignam in the racing cars, so going to be interesting to see what happens. Although Dignam's coming up on a little bit of traffic here, so
Yeah, I
might be
just
able
saw
to
that.
be help.
Just saw that Performance Sim Sports car slow right down. So potentially they have had a slowdown, maybe. Car doesn't.
Possibly.
Yeah, it doesn't look to be that fast. Let's see what their lap time is. That last one. Oh, we've just seen the Performance Sim Sports car go around, actually. Not too sure what's happened there. But he's lost it. Only 5 laps into their stint, so potentially chucking a new set of rubber on it hasn't worked well for Peter Lynn. That gap now 12 seconds between them and that car in front, so something not right about that car.
Yeah, it just looked like a simple lazy spin, so bit of a mistake, but I'm sure Peter will be able to put out some consistent laps and hopefully catch back up.
We're going to see that Phoenix Sim Sports car in the pit lane very soon. They've done 32 laps on their stint. As they go around for another lap, so 33 laps on a stint, very close to coming into the pits, potentially fuel saving, try and work out the best way they can. The teams kind of need to start thinking about pit stops. Oh, we just saw a car go off there. Not too sure what happened.
That was Simon Mazoman. It looked like he just possibly locked up. Oh no, actually he's got a little bit unsettled going through making some Beckets, and he's pulled out of it so he can more or less probably save the car from spinning, so not too bad of a call there, but he's lost a bit of time, but he's back on track now.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if that knocks his confidence and his rhythm. All these cars pretty much all still very straight. Looking a bit dirty now, but Most of them are all held together pretty well. Haven't seen any incidents or safety cars throughout this race, but it's not over yet. We've got 2 hours and 57 minutes to go, so anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's been quite a clean race actually by the looks of it, with no safety cars or any real major incidents. There was some earlier on, but apart from that, it's been a fairly clean race for the most part, where everybody's pretty much giving each other room, and they've obviously understood that it's a 12-hour race and that you're obviously not going to win it in the first few hours, but you will in the last 5 minutes or so. So be interesting to see what happens as we get closer and closer to that finish point of the race, and see whether anybody starts to take any risks or not.
Currently focused on Peter Lynn and that 297 Performance Sim Sports car, the Ford GT. Out of these GTE cars, GT3 cars, which is your car of choice, Cam?
I do like the Ford, but the Ferrari's probably the car that I tend to drive a bit more. It's a little bit more suited to me in the way that you drive it. The Ford I do like. I haven't driven it as much, but it isn't enjoyable. But I'd have to say that the Ferrari is definitely my car of choice off the GTE cars, to be fairly honest.
Yeah, I haven't actually driven the Ford myself. Don't tend to do too much GT stuff. My setup in London isn't quite good enough to be fast in these. But yeah, certainly driven the Ferrari, and very cool car. Lots of grip. She had a run at the Bathurst 12-hour last weekend in a GT3 car in the Mercedes, which was a bit of fun. I was doing alright, and then my screens froze coming over the mountain, which didn't end too well.
Yeah, it's not quite ideal when you end up getting a technical malfunction in the middle of a race, especially one around Bathurst where you've got concrete walls either side. So, yeah, that's not quite the most ideal thing to have happen.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It was just literally half a second they froze for, but it was enough for the car to lose it once it come back. I couldn't quite grab it in time, and running alright. Started 43rd and was up to 19th, so yeah, a little disappointing, but yeah, it was these GT cars certainly a lot of fun to drive, and certainly I would certainly love to have a drive in one in real life.
Yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see the correlation between the two cars being in iRacing and also in real life. I know the car is actually not too hard to drive, but to actually drive it fast is actually quite difficult due to the fact that you've actually got to push it quite hard to get the pace out of it. So once you getting to that level, I've tend to found that the car actually does start to become a bit of a handful, and you do actually really have to more or less manhandle it around the track to try and get a good lap time out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And these, you can drive these cars fast, and be comfortable, but to be at the top in sim racing, you have to really be onto it. And I was saying before, Cam, just before you joined us, that sim racing is mentally very demanding. I personally feel that it's more demanding than real racing, just due to the concentration levels that you need. You don't have the G-force to feel stuff. And this day and age, the guys who are running the top endurance stuff, and top sim races, they train for this sort of stuff. They go to the gym, they work out, and to sit at a computer. But it's you'd be quite surprised at how much gets taken out of you when you race. Whether it be endurance stuff or even sprint racing stuff. I know the supercar, when I've jumped off that from doing a race, I'm literally covered from head to toe, dripping in sweat. And it's quite amazing that you can get that from a computer software.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how sim racing's all of a sudden become this very physical and mentally demanding sport, more or less. It's gone from just turning the wheel and pushing the pedals to actually having to properly train yourself to be actually ready and be able to drive on the limits, especially with the limit that the guy is driving at in the top split. So yeah, it's really interesting, and you definitely really do have to be prepared for doing especially these sort of endurance races. I know it's for a fact not easy to do a quadruple stint around Bathurst in a GT3 car. I did that in the 12 hour with a couple of mates, which was quite interesting. But yeah, it's definitely a interesting topic when there's obviously the correlation between it being just as physical, if not more, and more mentally draining than real racing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think with it, evolving and getting more people in, and it getting that much more competitive, it really, if you don't train yourself, you're not going to be, maybe short term you'll be as fast as a guy who is, really dedicated to the fitness behind it. But certainly in the long term sort of stuff, it's always going to be that little bit faster. Looking back at the racing now, we have seen a driver change for the Phoenix Sim Sports 10 car. Jason Hyde in the car now. Chasing down the Fusion Sim Racing car of Heath Brennan. 12.2 seconds separating those two guys.
Should be interesting to see how quick Hyde actually does catch Heath here, with Hyde having newer tyres.
Yeah, so there's nine laps difference between those tyres. Hyde just jumped in the car, but he's gotten into the swing of things very quickly. I'll tell you what, nobody's catching Daniel Benefield a second a lap faster than P2 on that last lap, which is pretty remarkable, really.
Yeah, it definitely is. Benefield's definitely a good driver, and he's definitely proved that this year with how well he's actually been driving, and late into last year is he's definitely come a long way. I know he was part of Radicals Online for some time. I'm not sure if he actually still is at the moment, but he's definitely progressed quite a way, especially with his driving in the OEC Championship. I know he was quite aggressive earlier on, but now he's just been a bit more patient and has actually managed traffic quite well. So it's been interesting watching Benefield progress in the recent times. So definitely a good driver, and I can see some good results coming his way in the near future as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's kind of, he's on board with a pretty good team for Performance Sim Sports. So, if you kind of evolve and learn new things, and endurance racing is all about being consistent and clean. You're not going to win it in the first lap. So be patient, and it is going to pay off for you. But it's all learning, and racing is all learning. You learn something every time you go out there. So he would have been coached by some of the guys in the team, and they would have identified where he can improve, and he's worked on that well. And saying earlier that from the first round for this series to now, those guys have improved out of sight, and they are the benchmark. Fusion Sim Racing have been doing this endurance stuff for quite a long time now, and they are very seasoned to what they're doing. But I must say, Performance Sim Sports have really taken it to them, and they are now the guys to beat.
Yeah, they definitely are. They've definitely come out of this championship definitely showing that they've got some decent pace, and as you said, Fusion Sim Racing have definitely been the guys to beat for quite some time now. But with the recent string of results that Performance Sim Sports have been having, it's kind of that title has changed hands and ended up in the hands of Performance Sim Sports. So going to be very, very interesting to see how they do in other endurance races this year.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll be seeing them entering into the V8 Scops Championship along with All-Star Motorsports as well. Dane Warren, we saw last year, he came out of nowhere. I hadn't really heard of him, and then all of a sudden he was there one round, put it on pole, and he was at the front from that point. Very impressive driver. He started, I saw his sim racing setup and how good he was going. He was the only person that I've actually known was driving on an Apple computer. Most people use the Windows platform. It's more user friendly. But no, very, very good sim racer.
Yeah, Dane definitely is quite a good peddler. I know he does karting in real life. Now stepped up to shifters, which will be interesting to see how he goes in that. But yeah, Dane's definitely a very, very good peddler, as you said, with that surprise pole in V8 Scops at Sebring was quite a shock to a lot of people, and he's definitely proven that it wasn't just a one-off. He's definitely shown that he's got some pace in him, and it'll be very interesting to see how he goes actually this year, and be very interesting also to see whether someone actually manages to get pull him out of ASM and into a bigger team. I know a number of teams have probably been keeping an eye on him at the moment, and it'll be very interesting to see whether he switches or not in the near future.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These guys who come up, they start in a lower team, and then bigger teams want to pick them up, and they'll move on. I think that All-Star Motorsports potentially will be where he will stay. But yeah, you're exactly right, Cam. We'll see what happens in the near future. think we will see him definitely mixing it up this year in V8 Scops. I know that he continues to run the official series on a Monday night, which we broadcast. We will be live tomorrow night for that. Make sure you jump on to v8online.com's website, subscribe to our newsletter, get all the updates of what's going on in the sim racing world. Very busy weekend for our broadcasting. I was saying before, Cam, I think this is definitely our biggest marathon over a 24-hour period that we've ever done.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. It's definitely a bit of a big weekend for us with having both majors, Daytona 500 and also OEC 12 Hours of Silverstone on at the same time. So, yeah, it's been quite a busy weekend and possibly even going to be busier in the near future, hopefully. So, be interesting to see whether there's anything similar sort of scenario happening.
Yeah, we've got lots going on this year, which is great. We've had Scops, Majors Series, Oceanic Championships, some dirt stuff, Rallycross. Pretty busy on a weekly basis. Currently closest still that battle of Phoenix. Jason Hyde, the number 10 car. Those guys are very seconds separate.
Yeah, their pace seems to be pretty even at the moment. Hyde, like, is a little bit quicker, with better tyres than Heath. Heath can actually possibly see that push a little bit harder and get a gap to him.
Yeah, they're pretty much identical. I'd only 0.2 fast. Better field almost than those guys, so the 1 lap lead could end up being 2 lap. The closest battle on track is the Peter Lynn, Matthew Diggin battle, P8, P9 seconds separating those guys. Both running Ford G. Ferraris 1, 2 and 3 in that class. So right, quite surprising drop over certainly since I've been 12 cars still circulating.
Yeah, it hasn't actually been any incidents so far, minus offs and that sort of thing. You've always pretty much kept it out away from each other without too many issues, which is good to see, as you don't want any incidents happening around the trial.
Currently folk arm racing car of Matthew Diggum. Car does little as what it should do. Happy in the rear, which it's really difficult to come around when set up. You kind of want the car on towards the end of the race, which setting a car for over a 12-hour period, kind of know how much rubber's going to go down. It's hard to be able to what happens in a race to the track when you are practicing. So these performance sim sport guys out really worked hard on their setups because they just faster and faster throughout this race.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things about racing, is that you want to make sure the car have enough pace, but you also want to make sure it's fit and also drivable enough for all the, because you don't really want to have a car that's really good and quick and is all over the show for the other 2, 3, or however many drivers you've got. So it is a bit of a compromise in some ways sometimes, as far as setup, kind of possibly add a little bit more stability or understeer or oversteer the whole team, but at the end of the day, finishing the race instead of possibly ending up in an incident or putting it in the fence always tend to help when that happens.
looking at that gap between the 45 and the Phoenix Sim Sports car, staying the exact same. Those guys really just not pulling away or gaining on each other. They are on the same lap, not quite the same sort of stint between their pit stops. It's going to be interesting to see whose fuel numbers are going to work out. We've got 2 hours and 30 left of this race, so ours are really going to have to start and reverse engineering the race to figure out what we need to do, how much fuel do we need to save at this point in the race. So if you can have one stop less than that guy in front of you, hugely, and there's some really good guys that fuel save amazingly in over a 12-hour race. Fuel save, you're easily going to have a bit more of an advantage than that guy in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see who's actually going to have getting into these finals, because, as you said, if you get one less pit, you're going to be a lot better off. It's going to be interesting to see who's the tyre strategy, who's actually played it right, and whether they're going to handle it last. Because you don't really want to, but then realise later on that you're actually worse off because you didn't take tyres, whereas the guy behind you. It's getting, and also one other thing is that guys are going to have to make sure you do counter for a safety car does happen. It does happen, as and actually for majority of this series, it doesn't look like the car, but you really can't not expect at least one, even if it's a minor thing. You really don't want to be caught out by pulling out, especially if you've done your strategy around it, no safety cars coming up.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Ken. That's what I absolutely love about endurance racing, is it's just jumping in the car and driving it. There's so much more to it than that, and all everything around it. I can only imagine what it's like for real motor racing of teams competing in 12 hours, 24 hours. The everything that goes into it, and all that sort of stuff is what determines your race win, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen on countless occasions race 6, 12, those sort of endurance races being lost early on, or even on the last lap due to possible strategy errors. I know times in the Bathurst 1000 Genuine Cup, pretty much running empty because he didn't fuel in or safe enough. Yeah, it's that strategy and making sure it's absolutely, you really don't want to be the one pushing the clutch in and possibly even running it out of fuel on the last lap.
Yeah, so just gone under 2.5 hours to go. We got 2 hours broadcast, which is a long broadcast for almost, well, it's going to be 12 hours. It's been a great series, this one, and we're seeing how it evolves the next. I know that it's all in the works already. If you guys are interested in getting involved with it, so a great championship, and the admin guys at GT Leagues Australia are very professional, and I personally feel that doing it out of any of the organisers within the community.
Yeah, I know. Season 2 definitely going to be a big one. I know everybody for the new LMP1 cars that are going to be, in fact, it's going to be about 3 weeks away roughly coming out. So everybody's about that coming out. I know the man currently in the Performance Sim Sports car, Daniel Bennett, for that. So he'll be fairly happy and will be very happy to see coming into the see how they actually go in the series. I know it was by the guys at GT Leagues Australia to see whether P1 cars and GT cars whether they wanted the full Le Mans grids of having LMP1, LMP2 and cars, and the LMP1, LMP2 and also GT car grids did win, so it'll be interesting to see how it actually goes when. I know a lot of people have been saying that the LMP1 cars have been quite different, that they will be with the hybrid systems in that, but also interesting because a lot of people have also been saying that more or less become the prototype pro car, the LMP2 HPD will become the prototype, more or less, if you want to put it that way, with it being up for managing the system and being an imposter. So interesting to see how it actually all plays out in the end, and very much looking to see who goes.
Yeah, the LMP1 cars, it's been in the talks for a long time. They've been demanding it for a long time. And not only from New Zealand and Australia, but all over the world and happening. So it is going to be an exciting time. Certainly look forward to driving it myself.
Yeah, I know. I'll definitely get buying both Audi and Porsche. I'll probably drive the Porsche more. Porsche, I do like my Porsches, so interesting to see how they actually drive. I know they're very much an absolute missile, that hybrid system, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to drive and how much actual hybrid system is actually needed.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Just seen Peter Lynn drop off the track there. Not too sure what happened. Didn't hit anything, but stopped off and car behind him has managed in seconds. So guys starting to lose focus at this part of the race. We've got 2 hours and 24 minutes to go, bringing you all the rest of this race. Jason Hyde in that Phoenix Sim Sports car has that gap, still staying thin like that for it's 19 laps now, so these guys matching each other out there. Daniel Benefield though, tell you what mate, they have just 1.4 seconds fast any other car in their class. A remarkable effort. He's just coming in the front straight now. We're going to jump on board with them for a lap. guys doing an amazing job. Currently focused on the FT1 Motorsports car. Managed to get on Warren, just come into the pits, I believe. So I don't think it would be too far. Simon Mazzano pulled into the pits. Currently lapped in the stint. Cody Bird in that All-Star Motorsports 2 is currently leading the class. They have done 37, so we can almost guarantee they're going to be in the pit lane. Probably the slap. Will we see Star Motorsports car pull into the pits? Do right on, cool. So 38 laps, and this next one we'll see in the pit lane will be Simon Zoma. He's on 35 laps, so interesting to see the difference of those guys. Ethan Warren deciding to stay in that car. A pretty good pace. Seen Blake Nick go in Motorsports 217.
So just also seen in the background of being Blake Brennan also comes a pit stop.
Blake Nick X. Been a while since he's been on the car. Interesting to see how apps to this. 2 hours of this race. It's been a great GTE Championship is wrapped up, but prototype class is still very much alive, although it's going to be hard to stop team. Absolutely, it's a very well race the previous rounds as well. He's currently in the lane, so looks like he's staying in the car for the pit lane now. Didn't take tyres on that one. He did 8:30 and stop on that one. So definitely hasn't taken. Neither did Heath Brennan on their stop as well.
Not actually too bad of a strategy call either from Bedingfield to not take time in that last area. You can actually put a brand new set of tyres on. Should be good to the finish when he puts those new tyres on.
Yeah, exactly. So we could still see the race live on how much fuel has that Fusion Sim Racing car managed to save during this race. Reece Gardner, very good at fuel saving. See, is Alec Philip Morton. That's FT 28. Zymo had some good stuff. He made a couple of little mistakes, but take more.
Yes, I'm pretty so to see how often here and probably in the last race off, I'd say.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to swap out again. Still to race, so guessing this time might finish off. We'll just, I think Reece Gardner back in the car again. Maybe taking back in as well, so yeah, we could definitely still at some point in this